Meantime, Seattle says it is time to start a new chapter for the city's police force.
So in 2012, the federal government put restrictions on what SPD could do, and now the city says they have made progress on police reforms. So to share more on why the city believes this government oversight is no longer necessary, Dan Griffin live for us right now in downtown Seattle. Hi, Dan.
Hey, good morning to you. You know, federal officials and city leaders got together yesterday to really talk about the developments and how far the city and the police department have come since that 2012 consent decree, really saying they've made major progress. But the police chief also saying there's a lot more work to be done here. They really want to replace that consent decree with a new agreement that focuses on what they say needs to be addressed now. So department officials say that SPD has really transformed its department in many ways since 2011, when federal investigators found that officers were using force too quickly and escalated encounters far too often to a situation where force was needed. So those officials say that also they've been able to cut serious use of force down by more than half, and SPD has implemented new policies when it comes to helping people in crisis. Now, they've also changed their response to complaints, according to officials that we heard from yesterday, when it comes to biased policing, supervising officers, and identifying those who get too physical too often. Now, we know the Department of Justice and City of Seattle have asked a judge to terminate the 2012 consent decree, which gave the court oversight of these reforms. Now, the police chief says the numbers show change. We're talking about, he says, reduced use of force down by about 60% and fewer complaints. But the Assistant Attorney General for the DOJ's Civil Rights Division says that SPD still has work to do, especially when it comes to officer accountability and police crowd control tactics, especially if we think back to the protests that happened during the 2020 social justice protests with George Floyd. So the judges found Seattle not in compliance with the consent decree before, but that's where a new agreement would come in to replace the decree, focusing on those issues according to federal officials.
As mayor, I've repeatedly said in other forums that our highest charter responsibility is delivering constitutional policing and effective public safety to every person in every neighborhood. Every person in every neighborhood. The filing today represents another step toward that goal. And as mayor, I couldn't be more proud of our police department and our community, our leadership, my administration, on making sure this work is being done. Quite frankly, you've heard me say in the city before, there's no substitution for hard work. And that's what it took to get us to where we are today.
All right, so the bill for these reforms, the new policies, database systems, and other elements of the overhaul has cost about $200 million. The mayor has called it money well spent. We reflected on the changes, but leaders say these reforms are a model for other cities that find themselves perhaps at the center of federal civil rights investigations. And there are other investigators, other officials who have other thoughts on this. We're reaching out to people who may have other viewpoints on where things stand, what the city needs to achieve, and how they need to implement maybe a new agreement as they move forward here. So as soon as we hear from them, we will obviously bring that to you. But again, officials saying the work isn't finished, but they certainly are happy with the progress they are seeing today. We're live downtown. Dan Griffin, Fox 13 News.